Hello, good evening viewers, and it is once again the Business X-Ray Show with me, Charles Woji, and very special guests that we have today. The topic we are discussing is on developing and utilizing business plans. Of course, before I go into the depth of that topic, I'd like to introduce our usual coach, Charles. You're most welcome.
Thank you so much, and happy to be here.
Very good. Now that's Charles Sochichi, Executive Director, Enterprise Uganda. Now with us today, we have two special guests, our partners, but then also people that are here to share with us their practical experiences in this particular area where we're going to really be breaking down the issues or key aspects there are in. Noah Omugisha is from ABI. Noah, you're most welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers.
Very good. And then last but not least, in a special way, I would like to introduce Tony Muguer. He's the Director, Uganda Coffee Farmers Agency or Alliance.
Yeah.
You're most welcome, Tony.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, viewers.
Very good.
Yes.
Now, the topic for today, dear viewers, as you can see, it really touches the aspect of business plans. We had Noah about 2 weeks ago, again, talking about this time it was internal business controls, and we touched a little on business plans. We all know, and if you ask any businessman, they will tell you, I have my plan, Nina plan here. And those might have it, a number of them would have it probably in their heads, but then others actually take the effort and put them on paper. But a handful actually manage to really develop business plans that are consistent with what they want to do, or develop business plans out of the need to take their businesses to the next level. We normally develop business plans for other reasons, third-party interests and the like. So today we want to really go deep into that and find out what should a business plan look like, and why don't we stick to those business plans when we develop them. Charles, before we go into the discussion for today, I would like to pick your mind on some of the things that touched you in the week we are concluding today, this Sunday.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bwogi, and I want to say that this week has been a very fulfilling week for the country, for me personally, and for the women folks in our country here, because on Thursday, a UN agency called UNCTAD decorated one of our very own, a lady called Adieri Julian Omala. Omala was on this show about 4 weeks or 5 weeks ago, and we looked at her story, admired her story. But as she was seated on this show, we had already submitted her case for international competition. Then on Thursday, she was among the numerous applications that we got by the panelists and looked at. She was number one in the category called the most inclusive sustainable business. In other words, a business that brings the community into the game of a value chain, keeps them there on merit, not because you are sympathizing that this woman here has no husband, this one here is a widow, just come and be part of my mango orchard. Because she took effort to educate them, to grow those mangoes, and grow them in a way that makes her factory to benefit from them. That story was rated number one. She got the gold award, and I was very, very proud over that. So all that this means is that this country has got best practice. We need to be able to look for cases like the Omalas, showcase them, give them more prominence and support so that they touch more and they become the bedrock on which we try to pick up lessons to do what she has done across the country.
I hear you. Very interesting. We had a very interesting discussion last week as well.
Yes.
Because I know, and I think when you talk about Omala and what she's doing and where she sits at the moment,
yeah,
it again, in a way, comes back to tie into the discussion we're going to have today. Because I'm sure she's not there by default.
Very correct.
It was a well-thought,
yes,
idea from where she sat,
very
deliberate,
true,
and said, let me follow it like this. And I think she runs also a structured business.
A highly structured, very structured, very demanding, very engaging, touching over 20,000 Ugandans.
Yeah.
And these are individuals with all types of aspirations. They want to see you like you are part of government and should be dishing out a few things here and there. Then you tell them, no, no, this is about sustainability. So Omala's story is a story that we really need to borrow a leaf from.
Yeah.
And you are right. Last week we had an interesting case of Achela Enterprises from Soroti. Achela Enterprises is touching the lives of 9,600 farmers, giving them inputs, giving them seeds, but also ensuring that they do whatever they are doing in a manner that makes Achela Enterprises to buy their produce on commercial grounds, not on sympathy grounds. Yeah. And one of the things that came out in there was we could see one thing. One, systems take time, take your energy, take your money, and they can sometimes be frustrating. Yeah. But we also saw that systems are rewarded. The moment you are structured, the moment you organize, the moment you are sustainable, there are many more partners that will look at you and say, what you are doing could be the gateway for us to reach so many farmers that are unable to make a living, and make a living in a way that makes them proud and sustainable. Now, if you are doing that, can we work together? So, Achille Enterprises came and worked with Abitrust. Abitrust said, you know, you are good. We want to expand your storage because it's a limiting factor for you to buy as much as you want. So Abitrust went in there, not just because they loved Achila Enterprises. They loved the kind of spread and impact that Achila Enterprises was doing. So as they were doing what they were doing, they were saying, you know what, we've chosen you on merit. Please give for us a design store and we construct it for you. They went another step and said, you know what, Achille Enterprises, we have resources for putting as lines of credits in the banking industry. We want to connect you to that opportunity as well. So we saw that systems may be demanding, but systems attract partners from angles you've never imagined. And you saw how the young man was speaking from here. He said, you know what, now because of Abitrust, people like another project called Goal, another project from the USAID, they're also seeing him and saying, you're a good entity. We can work with you. In other words, when you work on your systems and then you are given certain conditionalities by partners, that please ensure that the following things are in place if you are going to work with us. And for them, they will have in QuickBooks. You might think QuickBooks is for Kampala. These people are in Sorota and they are using QuickBooks to look after the 9,600 farmers in the villages. QuickBooks has got nothing that says, if you are not in Kampala, you can't use me. Easily available, easily implemented. The other point is that it is in your interest to voluntarily implement these control systems. Use them. It's for your own good. Abitrust is here today working with you. Tomorrow they're working in another region. Another point, they're in another region. But they have left with the strength that's captured or bedrocked on systems. So I thought it was such a beautiful conversation we had last week. And then the other thing that I saw from last week was that when partners come on board, do not sleep on the opportunity. Abitrust said, we're going to support you on the inputs, initial interaction at 100%. Second round beneficiaries at 80%. We're graduating you. The third round interaction, we shall bring that intervention or support at 60%. In other words, as you work with different partners, merit that partnership. But use it to build the kind of muscles you need to get on to many more opportunities in the marketplace. Because the partners that come and work with you, as I said, they're looking at the entire country. You are one of them. They want to be in another place, in another place, and another place. So do not get into a consortium of partnerships and begin to sleep on them. It's not right.
That's good, Charles. And I think it's very, very important because it all begins with, because when you talk about systems, I look at two things. One, what needs to come first? And that's why you're talking about the business plan. Because it's like the foundation.
Correct.
Upon which, because we, in that discussion we had with Noah, we looked at the different kind of control systems in an organization. Government,
Yes.
For human resource and the like.
Yes.
But all these need to be informed. There has to be a point of reference.
Correct. And in fact, in our kind of interventions, when we're educating people on business management, and we talk of the 5 pillars, pillar 1, we talk of leadership and management, and they are responsible for business plan and strategy.
Yeah.
They are responsible for procedures and manuals.
Exactly.
So that's where it starts from. Then you can now have your HR that reflects this. Then you can have your operations that reflect this.
Yes.
You can have your marketing and whatever that reflects this. The financing will also reflect this.
Absolutely.
So it is that entry point for you to start driving yourself with clarity.
Very good. Noah, this is the point where I bring you in. Because last week we really just gave a digest of what, because when you talk about business plans, because we now understand, like Charles has really broken down it well, that's where it starts. You know, you need to have that foundation upon which you're going to develop all these other aspects. And we live in very interesting times, because technology, because when Charles was talking about QuickBooks, I mean, I thought about the merge of technology into business. You know, is helping us to actually arrive at so many of these things. But just a digest for our viewers, you know, to have them on board in this discussion quite well and steadily. What are we talking about when we say business plan? Like I said at the beginning, even, you know, someone will say, I have my plan. But what do we mean by this plan we're talking about?
Thank you, Charles. A plan refers to a documented pathway or a documented journey for the future of the institution. It can be a company, it can be you know, any other organization, but in simple terms, it's a documented journey for the institution. From point A, it can be 2021, to point B, it can be 2025 or 2023, depending on how long you want your forecasting for your MSME. So the problem we usually have with business plans is actually not developing them. The problem we usually have with business plans is using them.
I hear you.
And that usually comes from the reason why we have them in the first place. Perhaps as we go further in this discussion, we'll be able to get into more detail.
Indeed.
Why is it okay to have one, but not very painful to use it?
I hear you.
To not use it, rather. So you find someone has it nicely, you know, well printed, looking good, all text nice, but they are not using it at all.
I get you.
That's, I think, you know, quite important for us to appreciate.
Very good. Yeah. Now, dear viewers, today in the studio we have, like I said at the beginning, we have Tony Muguer. And Tony has a very interesting story because his organization really is doing quite some good work with farmers really on the grassroots. And I'm going to ask my producer to really play a clip where we have Tony, you know, working with these people down there so that, you know, we can pick a few things as a way of introducing Tony to our viewers.
I'm called Tony Muguer. I'm the Executive Director for Uganda Coffee Farmers Alliance, and we are a partner of the ABI Trust, ABI Development Group, and basically we are an apex organization of coffee farmer cooperatives. So part of the services that we receive from the ABI group is business development services, and in this there are topics that include development of business plans. Yeah, so basically the modern cooperatives, we have business entities which have to be profitable and sustainable. And part of that plan requires that they have formal and written documents that show or highlight what their goals are, how they are going to achieve those goals, and when they will achieve those goals. So by developing strategic plans and business plans, the cooperatives are better focused as business entities to achieve desirable targets. The deep business plans and the strategic plans help to focus the cooperatives in terms of developing their coffee businesses. And the direct benefits include market access, value addition, and these translate into improved prices that farmers can get, course, their livelihoods are improved as well. So the cooperative must have well-defined goals, things that they want to achieve. And then, of course, the second aspect is the issue of methods. How will they achieve those goals? You know, what inputs do they need? You know, or what requirements do they need to achieve the goals? So the second part explains the process or the requirements needed to achieve the desired goals. And then, of course, the third part is the issue of the time frame. When do they want to achieve these goals? By when? You know. So when you have the full picture of where you want to go, how you want to go there, and what you need in what time, then you are able to reach your target. So maybe I were getting business development services support, basically to professionalize these cooperatives and the smallholders, you know, trainings of the smallholders into best practices and their businesses to be modernized. We're also getting some support in terms of value addition, being able to process our coffee and controlling the entire chain of custody of the coffee. So we are receiving support from ABI to develop the business of the farmers through their cooperatives. So business development services is one of them. They are also supporting us to acquire and install modern processing machinery for value addition. So these two are very crucial in ensuring sustainability. Farmers are able to benefit from value addition, which means increase the prices. And then farmers also are able to receive up-to-date information and knowledge on good practices. So farmers are able to increase their coffee production and productivity and of course their incomes. Okay, this is the Luero Regional Coffee Processing Factory, which has been built by the Uganda Coffee Farmers Alliance with the support from the Agribusiness Initiative Development, ABI Development. And this factory is going to help the cooperatives in this greater Luero region to be able to do primary and secondary processing of their coffee. So this is the first of its kind in this region, and the farmers are very excited. In this sub-region, we have 24 cooperative societies which will come and process their coffee from here. And the farmers are really excited to have this facility in this area. So this is not the only one, but we're also building others in other sub-regions where we have cooperative societies.
Kati nsuubira nti nga bwe tuli mu kibiina eky'obwegassi ekyo kya Lugondo Cooperative Society Limited ne balimi bannaffe nga bwe twegattidde awamu okukolera awamu, ate twebaza ne Yusufa mu ngeri ey'enjawulo kubanga batusembereza ekyuma luli tubadde tukosebwa ng'okutwala emmwanyi, transporti, byonna ne lebba byonna nga bikositinga kwegamba byeyongeramu emiwendo egitugibwako. Naye kati twebaza Yusufa ate bwe tusembereza wano ekyuma ekituli okumpi ne bw'ogamba mwana nti vugayo avugayo, kale twebaza olw'ekyuma ekyo kubanga kijja tukolera bulungi tusigale nga ate tufissaako amagoba okusinga ate ku luli tetubadde tufissaawo.
Well, that I pick there, Charles, is you know, Tony is working with cooperatives right at the ground, at the grassroots. These are cooperative societies. And I want to put it to you, Tony. I mean, you know, one of the challenges, and I think Charles here will tell you, is it's sometimes extremely hard to convince small operators, especially in rural areas at the grassroots, you know, to even have it in their vocabulary, you know, business planning, later on implementing a business plan. And from what I'm seeing, what you're doing in Luero, I can see something really emerging out of, you know, a process that is well planned and structured. Share your experience. How did you, or what is your experience in dealing with people at the grassroots, having them to see and embrace business planning?
Yeah, thank you very much, Charles. I think everyone, including those in the rural areas, have needs. You know, they have needs, but the way they articulate the needs may be different. So the coffee farmers have needs in terms of prices, access to markets, access to inputs, and need to improve income for their families. So these needs need to be articulated properly. So what we've done is really to show the linkage between the farmers' needs and their aspirations, and how these can be merged by a business plan. So that helps us to promote more ownership of the business plan among the smallholders. It ceases being a document of the donors or of the Apex. It becomes their own document because it speaks to their lives, to their needs, to their aspirations. So for us, that's what we do to promote the adoption and the ownership of these business plans.
Okay.
Yes.
I hear you. So do you, as an organization, help in designing these business plans, or do you empower these guys to develop their own business plans?
Yeah, so for us, we use a bottom-up approach. So the business plans come from them, themselves. Like I said, we align the business plan according to the farmers' needs and aspirations themselves. So we only bring in the experts to help them to document it in a proper way. Otherwise, it speaks their language, it speaks their needs and their hopes. So the farmers have no problem to relate to such a business plan, which they have developed themselves.
I hear you.
Yes.
Charles, you work with many business people, and you help to mentor quite a number as well.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard for businessmen to actually embrace, first of all, the business planning aspect, and then later the utilization?
I think what our leader, Tony, is pointing out here is partly the reason why people end up treating this document as if it belongs, for example, in this case, to Abbey Trust, who wants it so as to give them money for factory in Luero. The exercise for it to result in an owned document, and that aspect of owned document is fundamental. It's too engaging. It involves asking many pertinent and practical questions. It requires you to be very patient with all the stakeholders. Many times, by the time you want a factory, you feel every week you are losing. Somebody is not understanding where you are going. And they seem to be theoretical, they seem to be unreasonable, and you want to see whether there's another person who can move faster than Abby. So that aspect of desiring money so much for an immediate seeing of a certain fiscal item without getting that fiscal item capturing the intended aspirations. You put it very clearly, there should be clear goals for that item. Those goals, how shall we realize them? What's the timeline? What resource envelope do we need? So these are fundamental things here. And should we do all these things here, what do we see as the transformative effect on the cooperative societies, on their members? Once that links up, the members say, this is our document. Let's tell the truth. Please do not tell Abby that you want the thing to be located here because the chairman comes from this village. Let it be located in the most central area, in the most appropriate place. Whatever the things now that members align with, you need to take care of those. So it is that element of it's taking time through consultation for it to result in the right content that's painful about the initial aspects of it. And many people take a shortcut, and I hope you will come in and see how we controlled it. They just say, you know what, this thing here, let's see that. What does Abby want?
Yes.
They want a document to be this and this. You man, you are the consultant. Can you quickly do this thing for us? We are giving you 7 days. We shall pay you. We shall pay you. When can you be ready? Work overnight. So, but I think Noah might be able to
know better.
Yes, how they interacted and how even the idea was conceived.
Yes.
Who conceived it?
Yes.
And even if it was arbitrage as a conditionality, how did they respond? It would be an interesting thing because the viewers have been asked by bankers that please, for us to finance this thing, we shall need a business plan. Now, at that point, they say, here they come with this bureaucratic, useless process. But anyway, let's just get somebody to clear it and get the money. Yeah.
Noah, I think it really brings it to the fore here because on utilization, because we've seen really there are quite a number of people who come up with these plans. Some pick templates. There are templates all over the place online. Can just go and just change name and location.
Yes.
and the box number. And then, but the essence, for starters, why is it hard for our people to appreciate the importance of having a business plan? And then two, then what makes it extremely hard, even for those that actually take initiative and have them to utilize them?
Thank you, Charles. Short story. Some gentleman, senior citizen, above 70 years, came and asked me and said, "Noah, you're in the business of offering business development services. I need you to help me convince my children to come and start to participate in my business because I'm growing old. All these things I have, I've earned them and toiled to get them because I want my children to have a secure future, but they have refused to come and participate in my business. I'm hiring people from outside, all risks all over, money is being stolen." So I told him, the reason why your kids and the friends whom you want in the business have refused to come is because you don't have a business plan. And the answer was, "I think you have not understood my problem." Which I smiled about, because I told him that in school, which you have taken your children to, we learn how to be organized, how to be orderly. Being taught that 1 + 1 = 2, and being disciplined if you say 1 + 1 = 3 is because you're being taught how to think in an orderly and reasonable manner. So when these children of yours graduate, when they go to do internship, they go to institutions which have a manager who has a title which is known, office which is known, job description which is clear, who even has targets which are clear. They are hired and they are given the same. Your title, whether small or big, your job description, your targets which are gotten from documents, such as the business plan. And what are you being inducted into? Organized, careful, nicely planned thinking and way of doing things. So now you have your children who know how businesses are supposed to look like, who know how businesses are supposed to be run, who know how sustainability is created. And you have none of those as their dad or as their mentor who wants them to come and participate with you in what you're doing. They will definitely not come. And this is exactly what a business plan does. The business plan eliminates all things which make your children not want to come to participate with you in your business. One, your business plan will show in the first pages the vision and the mission of the organization. Clear. We want to be the best coffee umbrella organization in Central Region, like in the case of Uganda Coffee Farmers Alliance. So even if I'm bringing anybody, they are clear about what they are going to contribute to.
Yes.
From there, where do you go? The business plan shows you the analysis of the market. It shows you where this organization, called NOAA organization, called Uganda Coffee Farmers Alliance organization, called NTV, called Enterprise Uganda, where it is operating. Who is there? Which gaps are you coming in to address as the organization? From there, you now go into operations. How am I positioning myself as an organization to address this market challenge, but which is a business opportunity for me? The target for exports for Uganda as coffee by 2025 is say 20 million bags. We are at 4 or 5 million bags. What does it mean? So I can decide to say, as Uganda Coffee Farmers Alliance, as Muguer Coffee Uganda Limited, as the NOAA Coffee Uganda Limited, I'm going to just follow up 5% of the 20 million bags and I make it my target. So anyone who's coming into the institution, knows that our objective is to achieve 5% of 20 million, which is 500, which is about 100,000. So that is what business plans do for you. And once you are sure of, for example, the targets you want to produce or sell, then you start to say, okay, where am I going to get the funding? How many staff do I need? Which machines do I need? Which partnerships do I need? I can tell you, with that kind of clarity, you'll be sure, and everybody in the institution, about where you're going, about how you're going to benefit, and about which problem out there you're addressing. So that is it that business plans do for us. They put everybody in the light. Be it the taxman. When they are coming, they will know where they are going and why, what the person they are does, what the person they are going to assess for taxation does. If it is the ABI coming to partner with you, will be clear. Because we know if one farmer on average produces 100 kilos of coffee or 200 kilos, and you want to export 100,000 tons of coffee per year, we know most likely how many farmers you're going to have within your network of producers. So that's the kind of appreciation we need to attach to business plans. Anything else then renders business plans not as important or not as critical for operations as the business plans are.
Just to pick up from what Noah said, I wanted them to share how they interacted at the initiation of this idea of getting a business plan to come up, and how the discussion progressed. Because the people watching us here are saying, the only time I've ever thought of that thing was when a banker cornered me. To what extent was Tony into the idea? How did ABI come in so that we begin to see some elements in there that might inform the viewers on how those initial building blocks for this document, how they came up? Because I know I'm a banker, I know how we normally interact with these fellows when they come looking for a loan. I have a target as a lender, and I'm simply saying, the earlier you bring for me the document, the better. So that can be very dangerous. But let's just hear probably.
Yeah, I mean, just to answer you, coffee in Uganda is grown mainly by small-scale farmers. And most of these farmers have modest education. So basically, these are people you don't expect to find with a written business plan. However, like I said earlier, that these farmers have needs and challenges. You know, one of the challenges we have in Uganda is that most of the coffee has been sold in the conventional market. So in the conventional market, you are faced with challenges of fluctuating prices. You are faced with challenges of low prices. You are faced with challenges of lack of finance. And you are faced with challenges of lack of inputs. So these challenges have forced farmers to think of innovations and ways of overcoming them. So one of the first things was for them to come together to form these cooperatives. So the cooperative is a business entity that has clear goals and targets. And as cooperatives, we are looking at better access to markets, better access to finance, and being able to advance in the value chain. You know, farmers have always looked at participating beyond just production of coffee to actually processing it themselves.
Move up the value chain.
Yes, moving up the value chain. So to move up the value chain, you need to be organized because you are no longer dealing with your local middleman who comes with a bicycle to buy coffee in your at your farm gate. You are now dealing with external roasters, you know. So that level of requirement made farmers to realize that they needed themselves to be organized, to be able to interact at that level. So we found that appreciation of the need among the farmers was the best driver for us to adopt and implement this business plan. So,
from the business side, the business sense, and I'm sure again our viewers will benefit a lot from this. What benefits have you seen coming your way?
Yes.
One, as an umbrella organization,
Yes.
and then the cooperative societies you're dealing with
Yes.
as a result of being that structured
Yes.
and building these businesses
Yes.
on the foundation of planning and all
Yes.
that.
Yes. Yeah, so for example, we are able now to sell our coffee directly, you know, to roasters in Europe and in America.
Okay.
Now, for us to be able to do that, it means that farmers are able to get a very high price compared to the conventional prices.
Okay.
So there's a very clear difference between coffee that is sold through this direct trading and that which is sold in the conventional way. So when farmers test this price that they are getting through direct trade, they now start seeing the importance of following the business plan and this formality that we are talking about. So it's not just a requirement from the bank, but it's something that translates into improved incomes of the farmers themselves. And because of that, they have the motivation to implement and really to understand and to appreciate this planning and this organization.
That's a good one, Tony.
Yes.
You're dealing with groups, and Charles, we normally talk about group dynamics. It's another animal altogether.
Very true.
So how hard or easy was it for you, you know, to convince these many heads from different backgrounds that this is the way we should move? We need a business plan, because probably I imagine these coffee farmers in Luero, whereas like for us our problem is the machine.
Yes.
Now when you start talking about planning,
Yeah.
tables, paperwork here,
Yeah.
you might say this man is delaying us.
Yes.
But how did you manage to reconcile those interests and point them in the same direction?
Yes. I think the way we did the problem analysis was very important. You know, what resources do the farmers access and control? So that's one side you can look at it. And then also you need to look at the resources that they have, you know, and then their aspirations. So when the farmer sees that you're speaking directly to their livelihoods, you are speaking directly to the improvement of the well-being of their families, then it ceases being a far-fetched idea. It becomes their own idea.
It's personal.
Yeah, it is personal. They feel motivated and passionate about it. So for us, we're building on the passion that the farmers have, the passion of desiring to improve their well-being and seeing that actually an opportunity exists which they can get.
Any challenges?
Yeah, of course the challenges were after developing these business plans, knowing what our goals are, what methods we're going to use to achieve them. Then of course there's the element of inputs, you know, what do we put in to be able to operate at this desired level. So that's when we approached the ABI group and said, look, this is what we are planning and this is what we are doing, but we may need you to come and help us where we are not able to. So they came and looked at our structure, and then through partnering with NOAA, they actually created a very big mindset change, even among our members. So that's something that I really appreciate from ABI Trust. It's not just the financial support, but actually the mindset change, the thinking that the cooperatives can have as businesses that has been enabled through their interventions.
Noah, you want to come in there?
Yes, thank you, Charles. A bit on, you know, the utilization of the business plan. Perhaps the viewer may be interested in appreciating how does Uganda Coffee Farmers Alliance having a deal to export coffee,
Yeah.
in terms of affect their planning and also the planning for the farmer who is delivering coffee
Yes.
to Uganda Coffee Farmers Alliance for export. When, for example, you get demand, say, of this number of tonnage as Uganda Coffee Farmers Alliance or any other company, the first thing is to, you ask yourself is, who am I going to get the coffee from? What does that mean? You start to look at average acreage per farmer and then compared to the total tonnage of coffee you need. So if I know the coffee I need will come from 1,000 acres or 10,000 acres, based on the yields of coffee per acre, then I also know that on average in Uganda, every farmer has, say, half an acre of coffee for those who are growing coffee. the next thing becomes how many farmers in total do I need to be
Right.
able to bulk this total tonnage that I need to meet the demand I have out there for the coffee. What does it also therefore mean for the farmer at the farm gate?
Yeah.
This farmer who is a member or a subscriber of Uganda Coffee Farmers Alliance is then told in the annual general meeting that we will therefore need each of you to produce at least 100 or 200 or 50 kilograms of coffee if we are to meet this demand that we have secured in Europe or whichever country where the Uganda Coffee Farmers Alliance is exporting to. It therefore means the farmer on his farm will do the mulching, will do the weeding, will do the harvesting, will do everything right to ensure that they
With that
at
in
least
mind.
contribute what they were told is needed from each of them, which will be bulked or taken to the factory for processing before it is exported. So you see how a deal of coffee for a company trickles down in terms of planning up to the household where the coffee is grown. And people who do not appreciate business planning that way will always get challenges. It doesn't matter which sector you're in. If you are not able to break down that tonnage you need to bulk or you need to export, you will not look back at how many people you need to give it to you so that you can have it in time, in the right quality, and the right quantity for you to be able to sell it to the buyer who wants it.
No, I like the trickling down aspect in that. Because from the setup of the organization that Tony is dealing with, he's dealing with other farmers, other people. Because it's a cooperative society, everyone comes, you know, as an entity in their own right. And the fact that the way you bring it out, that, you know, because of the benefit achieved by exporting to Europe, and you're getting a premium for which this person is benefiting, I can see where the ownership now comes for the plan to really have it deliver the needed impact. And I now imagine a small business operator, and I think we talked about it 2 weeks ago, where I think we had a question where someone is saying, I run a family business.
Yes.
It's me and my wife and my children. I mean, how do I build a business plan and that kind of thing? And I think it's a very, very important thing which I want you to again tackle for our viewers probably who missed that show. I mean, how do I make sure that my people, if it's a family business, are actually on board for this or with this plan?
Thank you.
And then we shall hear how Tony managed to make sure that everybody was on board, including his management colleagues.
Exactly.
Because they can disagree.
Thank you so much. So the starting point always is on the vision and mission. Why are you in existence in the first place? So you're in existence because, for example, for the case of UCFA, you want to bring farmers to be able to do business in coffee gainfully. Now, the second question becomes, who are you working with to achieve this goal?
Yeah.
And that is why you cannot afford to plan alone.
Yeah.
At the household level, you as the household head, back to the other example I gave of a gentleman who was complaining that his wife and children are comfortable in Kampala. They don't want to go back to the village where most of his farms are and the businesses.
Yes.
What is is everyone clear?
Yeah.
That one, they co-own it with you. Two, that they are very, very critical elements to the success of your company. And three, does each of you appreciate their role? If I'm the coffee marketing manager of a company which is exporting coffee, do I even know how much tonnage we intend to market? You must know. And therefore, as the head of the company, or as the household head which is doing business in coffee, you must bring on board the other person or member of the family, or member of management, or member of the team of the company that is in charge of marketing. You must tell them, guys, we have a target. We have demand for this tonnage of produce. So you who is in marketing, be aware. There is the production manager. You have a team going down every day on motorcycles, on bicycles, going to farmers to collect coffee. Are they aware of how much coffee they must collect to meet the target of the demand at hand? That is why you cannot afford to plan alone. You cannot afford to withhold information regarding the demand you have for what needs to be supplied.
And I think that's a very important one, before I bring in Tony here. Because I think business planning really also brings in the aspect of transparency. Yes. You know, you've seen...
It lays it out clearly. If you don't want to go to a transparent route, don't go to business planning route. Yeah.
Because, you know, you see, especially in family businesses, it's the head of the family who knows where the business is going.
Yeah.
He doesn't even want some people to know where some properties are.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
so, and I think I love this discussion. Exactly. But Tony, again, it's not easy sometimes to point everyone in the direction that you want them to. Yes. Because, I mean, different people, Charles, I think, pointed it out. How did you manage to convince your colleagues, even at, you know, the agency, to see things, you know, in that kind of direction? Because I'm sure someone watching might pick, borrow a leaf.
Yes. Well, I like the previous talk about transparency and the vision sharing. You know, even us in the coffee sector, traditionally, coffee was considered to be a man's crop. Yeah. So when the family grows the coffee and then they harvest, they hand it over to the man who takes it to the market or to the cooperative.
Negotiates the price.
Negotiates the price, sells it, and gets paid. Yes. Nobody asks the man how much money has come out of it, you know? And there was a lot of discontent in coffee families about how much money actually came out of this coffee that we sold. So we even saw scenarios of wives abandoning coffee in the rain because they were not very sure that they were benefiting from this coffee income. So the starting point for us was at the household level. So we have a household approach where we have incorporated gender mainstreaming training, even within the household.
Very good.
And telling the household that, look, if you work together, you're better off than if you work alone. So we've even used an approach of change agents.
Yes.
You know, change agents within the coffee villages. The change agent is a family that works together, the man, wife, and children. Even the children are involved, where they develop, let's say, annual household development plans at a household level. What they want to do, they develop household budgets of the, let's say, the recurrent expenditures, like school fees and what. And then they look at their farm and how much income is coming from there. And then they determine the production level that they need to raise the required yield of coffee that will meet the household needs. So you can see at that point, everybody becomes a vision sharer, you know, because they are like, these are our needs. These are the number of trees we have. We need this level of production to be able to get this yield, which will meet
this money
that is needed. So that's where it starts from.
The planning
starts from there. Good. So once the household is convinced that there's benefit in planning and in ownership of the family vision, then this same family comes within the cooperative setup. And then they also look at what is the role of the cooperative in enabling us as coffee families to achieve our household plans. And then it percolates all the way.
It goes back to answer Noah's question. Yes. That in business you don't conscript partners or workers. You actually encourage them to come because I think in some of these, because of that lack of transparency and clarity of where you're going and where everyone's benefit comes from, it's generally conscription.
Yes.
But Charles, because and I want our viewers to really understand that all these examples we are giving is to try and bring out the aspect of business planning and why it's important. Because we tend to look at it and leave it in the elitist world, for lack of a better word. But I would like to ask, from your experience, what are the common mistakes or some of the defects that are normally associated with this business planning? What are the kind of mistakes, and what is the price that people pay by making some of these mistakes, especially when you're designing a business plan for a third party, not for the business.
Very, very true. Many times when you go to a partner who is going to give you resources, a partner will need some transparent document that can give him some bit of insight on what's going to happen when they give you money. And one such instrument is a business plan. Now, that itself means that the partner is saying, this is what I can do. But I also want to know where you are going and then see to what extent I can contribute in that journey. Now, there are two things that can happen. You walk to a bank or you walk to a partner who wants to give you resources. You discuss what you intend to do, where you are going and how you intend to go there and what kind of technology you need and how your coffee farmers in Luero are looking for a store. Only to reach in the bank, they tell you that here now we have a facility that gives tractors. I think as farmers you will need tractors. And if you brought that request right now, within 2 weeks we can give you an approval. You've lost your independence on where you are going. You've gotten excited on somebody's mission and goal for the year. The credit officer who has talked about the tractor has got a goal for that year. And the goal is to lend to tractor scheme up to 3 billion this year. So anybody closer to that, remotely, you kind of drag the person there and say, you know what, as farmers, don't you think you need tractors? Don't you think that instead of 3, you could actually take even 5? How many competitors? In the process, the fellow swallowed you. You never went with the clarity of your goal, of where you want to go in the next 3, 4, 5 years. Lack of clarity and you are discussing with somebody with an envelope quickly makes you lose independence and seeking to really steer the direction in the direction. This fellow here could easily start saying, I failed to learn for this quarter because all the farmers that have been coming here, they have been talking about a store, a store, a store. What does that mean? He must now form a memo to inform the bank that, you know what, much as we thought it was tractor scheme, it's actually storage. In the process, the bank will realign and say, the real need is this. You know what, how Tony said, talk to your members, find their true needs and serve that need. Similarly, the person with resources wants to do that. Abi wants to do the same. So I'm sure if we listened to how Noah interrogated with them, he must have said, you know what, this is what we can do, but we want to listen out to you.
I hear you.
That kind of clear conversation and not somebody saying I'm inferior to the other partner and I need to tone down my request and begin to follow the other direction. And it goes all the way. Sometimes even somebody will say, no, instead of getting technology of this quality, take this one. Somebody is biased because he wants to get this particular technology to have a market. You have lost your own independence. You are the one who knows the technology you want. And you know why that technology works best. Make that case. Independence in pursuing your mission. Communicating that mission. And sticking to the fact that the other party might not be fully aware of your need and trying to explain is very, very key at the very beginning of the discussions.
I hear you.
Yeah.
And it's all linked to that particular document.
Yeah.
I hear you. Noah, again, something that Charles brings out and probably which I'm sure our viewers might want to know, you know, that discussion you have with partners like Tony here. What are some of those aspects that you look out for? And, you know, to say, because I mean, you come in as a very, very important partner for business. One on the side of not just funding, but then also the BDS that you give, the business development support that you give. So, but what do you look out for? What are the things that you say these ingredients have to be there?
Thanks. First and foremost, the most important CV of the business is its business plan. Just like any professional who's interested or keen on growing, keen on succeeding, keen on making an impact where they are rendering services. The business plan does exactly what your CV does for you. Remember, when we advertise, for example, a funding window, we say, oh, we want to support SMEs in coffee. We say you apply. Then we tell you this is the required document to submit when you're applying. Just like when you're applying for a job anywhere, they will say, send us the cover letter and your CV. What do we ask you? We ask you for your application and other documents, but most critically, the business plan. What we're actually saying is that we want to see where you are, what you stand for, and where you want to go. The next question when you submit this becomes, does he have the credentials to qualify for a grant, or to qualify for even business development support, or to qualify for a loan that they are asking for? Because we know Ugandans are very sharp. Yeah? They want, I may have a plan of, say, investing 5 billion in real estate by the time I retire. So what do I say? If I know there is free money somewhere, I form a company, start sending applications. Once I get the grant, then I move the money to my other things I need to do. After all, there is no one to stop me. So when that business plan comes in, then we start to look at each section. Are you well constituted as a business? Vision, mission, objectives. 2, do you have the right staff? What is the organogram, the organization structure? How does it look like? Where do you intend to go between now and up to when the business plan period expires? Then our question, next question that follows is, do we think we can add value to this one? For example, your targets may be too low. And we think you do not need, for example, 1 billion or 2 billion to reach 10 farmers. Or to export coffee from only 10 farmers. It may not be realistic.
Yes.
So we'll either have a follow-up discussion with you to confirm that the numbers you quote are right, or we may say, since we have 1,000 applications, let's go to the next applicant and see what they have to offer. So that is in terms from the development partner's perspective. This is what we look at, or this is what we look for when we are looking at your business plan.
Thank you, Noah. Viewers, we're going to take a very short commercial break. We're discussing business plan, not just the development aspect, but then utilization. If you notice, that's where a lot of emphasis has been placed this evening. But I can see the number of you that are calling in and also sending in messages. We're going to pick those after this very short commercial break. It is, once again, the Business X ratio, and we're looking at business planning, the development side of it, and then the utilization side of it. Of course, Noah, before we went for the break, we were seeing how important it is to have some of these documents, especially when you're building bridges with partners like ABI, but then also other third-party players in business. We know we need bankers and, you know, other support services like from insurance companies. And these are some of the documents they're going to look at before they can determine the kind of support they're going to give you. But Noah, you talked about we were talking about the ingredients, some of the ingredients that you you look at before you make a decision and say, these are business we want to support, these are business we want to be part of. Tell us more, one, about that, but then also in terms of utilization of some of these documents. And we already know that there are some people who might develop these documents just for the purpose of winning that grant or getting that loan from the bank, like Charles was saying. Do you ever get people that get surprised at some of the documents, especially when you have that follow-up discussion with them that you talked about, that are within, you know, the kitty of documents they presented to you?
Thank you, Charles. Indeed, you know, when you're in the business of working with the MSMEs, you can always have, definitely we have the interesting discussions with them, and we do a bit of the fact finding. First and foremost, we look at everything in your business plan, starting from the cover page up to the last page where you have references or bibliography, in case there are any other information sources you contacted when you are coming with it. What does that mean to whoever has a business plan? First and foremost, you must know all the information that is in your business plan, right from the cover page up to the last dot of your document. Secondly, you must utilize and always follow up every aspect of your business plan. You asked about surprises. For example, someone who has a business plan but does not use it may not always go back to see whether their business plan is relating with their sales at the end of the year, or with their audited account findings. So you'll find in your audited accounts you have, you know, a record of how much you sold. You have a record of how much you spent to do business in that year. But you may ask someone and say, well, I see your business plan says you are planning to grow at a rate of 20% annually. However, you've actually declined in terms of performance by 2%. Last year you were at sales of 10 billion. This year you're at sales of 9.8 billion. Yet you should have ideally grown sales of 12 billion if you're growing at 20% annually. And then the first question from this person is it? Let me consult with my team. And you're talking with a managing director meanwhile, or an executive director, or a chief a chief executive officer of an institution. That is a very, very, very obvious red flag.
It's a terrible indictment.
Yeah. It is like not knowing the names of your children.
Yes.
Like, oh, let me ask Madame, there is this, the one for this year, who's 2 years old, whom I'm not aware of his or her name. So you cannot fail. And that is why the other day we were saying, a business plan is like a Bible of your business. It is like a CV for yourself. You cannot submit a CV to anybody and they say, you said you graduated from this college or this university this year, and you're like, oh, is it? Which college did you mention? Did you? I don't remember writing any college I graduated from. So you do not allow such things to happen because they kill the total picture. Even if your lie had been nicely crafted to win the eye of a development partner, then they start to be very cautious. So those surprises are always there for those who do documents for cosmetic purposes.
Thank you, Noah. I'm afraid we have quite a number of comments and questions here, which I wanted us now to respond. And they are directly on the point of the discussion that we have this evening. I'll begin with Tony. I have someone, it's called Dan Tuhaise. Dan is saying he's a coffee farmer in Hoima district with 2 acres so far and is currently preparing to establish an extra 10 acres. How can I be part of Uganda Coffee Farmers Alliance and benefit from it? Yeah, and I'm sure there are many you'll be answering to out there.
Yes, so we are working also with the government of Uganda, and right now there's an ongoing exercise to register farmers. Uganda Coffee Farmers Alliance is an apex of cooperatives. So our members are cooperatives and not directly individual members. Okay. So I would encourage him to join the nearest cooperative, and also he could come to Coffee House. Our Coffee House is in Kampala. We shall be able to provide assistance and also contacts of the nearest extension officer who can help to interact or register this business plan.
Great.
Yes.
Now I have someone here who is saying us for an educative program. This is Grace Masiko. Chairman, Uganda Private Security Association. Thank you for watching, Grace. He's saying the program is educative. But I have someone from Masaka, Charles. He's saying they have a registered company and they would like to get the support of Enterprise Uganda. How can they access that in Masaka?
Okay.
Okay. Maybe if you can tackle that as
Okay, I can give the Masaka lady a telephone number of a colleague at Enterprise Uganda who can immediately follow up on this request, especially if it relates to a business plan. It's called Noah, 0772 517 471. So that gentleman will receive your call, take your need or your request, and then we shall see how to respond and handle it.
Okay. I have Stephen here. Noah, I know you talked about this, but since we are teaching, because what's the principle, Charles here can bear me witness, is that every time we start the business X-ray, there are people who pick their pens and notebook to learn.
Very true.
So I have one of them, Stephen is saying, Noah, thank you very much for that educative deliberation. Can you please help and highlight the structure, stock contents of a business plan? I need to develop one personally from scratch. Maybe just a digest.
Yes.
Table of contents.
Yes. So thank you, Charles. So I'll go through them chronologically. But again, the information on how it can be structured is available online. But this is what I'll say chronologically about the critical elements your business plan should have. It should have an executive summary. That one contains, touches briefly on all these aspects I'm going to mention below. First and foremost, it should have what we call the synopsis of the company. What it is, name, why it is founded, vision, mission, objectives. Secondly, it should have a market analysis. As a business, you must know the market where you are operating. 3, it should have your plans and projections of what you're producing and how you're going to sell it. Let me use the word marketing, how you're going to market it. And marketing does not only mean putting it on the vehicle to take it to the market. It means all the entire aspects of marketing. Traditionally, marketing is broken into 4 core P's. The type of product in terms of specifics, quality, everything. Then how you're going to promote it, how you're going to price it, and how you're going to place it in places where people will access it from. That is usually called distribution and channels. So after your market analysis, you must be very clear on what you're going to produce and how you're going to put it out there for people to look for it. 3 or 4, you must then look at your structure so that you are able to provision for human resources right from the board up to senior management and then down throughout the operations so that you're sure you have a team that will be able to deliver on the other production or producing and marketing plan you have up there. Then after the organization structure and the human related aspects of your company, you must then put the financial aspects or financial plan of how you're going to finance all the operations you have showed up there, and especially the other operational plan, which has the people, which has the product, and processes. And then after that, you put source of financing or sources of funding. It is very easy and okay to say I need 10 billion to run my company, to produce this which I've clarified up there in my plan. But where are you going to get the money from? So you will say, okay, I have savings, or we have retained earnings, or profit we earned from our previous operations. We are going to sell shares, or we are going to borrow from a bank, or we are targeting funding from ABI or any other institution where we put an application and we've been awarded the grant. And all these sources of financing will match what we need to produce. And then finally, then you put any other information which you need or which supports there's everything else you've written about in the previous chapters or previous sections of the document. So in summary, that's what I can say are things you must not miss out.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Noah. And the beauty is that we have these links really somewhere, so we'll be sharing where you can find the links so that you can refer to some of this information. Very critical information.
Yeah.
Charles, I have Kasim Omar from Makere. He's asking, well, thanks for the show. I would like to know if a single person can develop a strong and important business. I want to underline important. Can develop a strong and important business plan for his sole business.
Yeah.
Because the business I'm about to start is very small and I will be the first and only employee of the business.
No matter how many people own the business plan has got a purpose. And then that purpose is relating to the market.
Yes.
If you are going to sell something, that is what we want to see in the document called a business plan. The owners can be so many, they can be so few, they can be just one person. It is still the same. So it has nothing to do with the issue of how many people are owning it. Obviously, the moment you are many, one would want to just have a bit of appreciation of the profile of the directors. So that's how it comes in. But if you are the only one, just say so. Just say so. And then again, just in addition to what Noah commented about writing this document, if the purpose is related to a specific mission of a potential financier, please take care of that. Do not try to omit. If somebody is so much interested on how your plan impacts the uneducated or the youth, please ensure that that aspect you address it, but be honest as you address that. So that's what we call the tailored aspects of a business plan. After you have gotten this mainstream structure that Noah has ably shared, there are those aspects related to a particular interested partner. Address those, otherwise he will say, I've looked at everything here, but you have not touched the area I'm interested in, which is the youth. And I'm interested in the youth in northern Uganda. To what extent are you coinciding with my needs? So be aware of who is going to read the document and why also that particular person would be happy to be part of your story. Yeah.
Now we have the micro, because remember in our topic we're talking about the MSMEs.
Yes.
And I think Nedrick Bahemuka from Kasese falls within this. He's saying, I'm dealing in milk at a capital of 200,000. Which business plan can you give me?
Wow.
So, Noah.
Thank you, Mr. Boji. You know, for me, when I hear someone say, I want to start a business as one person, or I have capital of 200,000, for me, I get excited because it therefore means people who, the future investors, the future billionaires of tomorrow are watching a show where they are getting advice on how to start business nicely and neatly. You know, I have an issue with people who say, oh, you know, these business plan things. But you see, a business plan does one thing which we are not good at. It helps you to count your money. And I always tell people, if you do not know how much money you have based on documents you have within your organization, then how are you going to count the bigger billions and trillions of money when you grow? So if you cannot write a business plan of operations of 200,000, then how do you guarantee that you'll be very proficient at doing a business plan of 1 billion? So to both the lady who's saying she wants to start a one-person business and to the person who has a business of 200,000, this is the best time to have a business plan. Why? The business plan is not about you today. It is about you for the start and others as you go along. there is no one who will start a good a business and within 5 years they've not become 2 or 3 within the team. Even if you start riding a board as one person, but when your plan is to have 10 borders in 5 years, you will have 9 other people added onto you within 5 years. Therefore, your plan will show how you intend to grow, how you intend to recruit those who will be riding your borders with you as you build your dream of having 10 borders by 5 years. So again, let's go back. Why do you want to do business in the first place? At a personal level, to make money. But where do you make money from? You make money from an opportunity that exists in the market, which other people who are doing business in that area or in that market are not addressing.
Exactly.
So, as I go in as an individual, whether it is to sell pancakes, whether it is to serve tea on the roadside, whether it is to cook kasoli and put it in places where there is jam in the evening and sell to people as they drive on their way back home, I must know which problem am I addressing and what am I doing then? I'm doing market analysis. I've already stated that I want to be the best kasoli, roadside kasoli vendor in Kampala. What is the market? The market is there. Which market am I targeting? Place points of jam where people need the maize. Why? Maybe I want to be the cleanest or the smartest among all the people who are already selling kasoli at that point. Secondly, once you've done this, now the next question becomes, yes, I'm one, but as I grow, how am I going to bring people on board? Which people do I even need? You have already gone to another section of the business plan, which is the structure of your business. Okay, yes, I will be there as the founder. How many people am I going to bring? I need people to cook the kasoli for me. I also need people to sell it for me. I also need someone at home who can count the money, since I don't want to be counting money as I cook. So you see, you already have a small structure in mind. Then from there, the question becomes, what working capital do I need? How much money would I need to pay these people? And then how much kasoli can I sell per day? Meaning, how much money should I have to stock the adequate amounts of kasoli to be able to cook? How much firewood or gas or charcoal do I need to cook it? How many saucepans? You have already quickly gone into from the structure of how your business is going to be. You have quickly gone down to the finance, to the funds required. Then from there you're like, oh, okay, I need 200,000 shillings, but I have 100. Where am I going to get the other 100,000? Do I have a friend who can give it to me short term? Do I have some chicken at home? Maybe I can sell 4 or 5 and then raise the money. Or is there a microfinance? Or am I in a savings group where I can go and get the other 100? You have already gone to the sources of financing that I told you earlier when I was trying to bring up, to break down the business plan. Quickly, if there are other people who have advised you or you've got information on how to build it, you can also recognize them in the same document. So we have already exhausted, you already have a running business plan, whether it is as detailed as 1,000 pages or as lean as 2 pages, you already have something. So please plan. And as you plan, write. Before you know, you'll have the whole business plan laid out very effortlessly. Yeah.
I hear you. Tony, as we near the end of this interface, the benefits that this thing has delivered to your farmers, this I'm calling it thing, the business plan, and the whole idea of being structured around it. Yes,
like Noah said, it's all about opportunity, seeing the opportunity and your place in the value chain. Just to give you a big picture is that the coffee growing countries, we are only earning 10% of the value of the coffee in the global trade. And one of the reasons is that most of the coffee growers are unable.
And how big is this trade? We talk about billions of dollars, I imagine.
Hundreds of billions of dollars globally. So it's because most of the producers are unable to sell the coffee directly to the final consumers. And why they are unable is because they are not organized. They don't have business plans, They have not planned to reach out. And yet the opportunity that exists in the coffee value chain today is the word we call traceability. All the roasters today want to buy coffee directly from the producers. But because most of the producers are unable to reach them, they are buying over 90% through middlemen. And the middlemen are taking all the money. So we as Africans or coffee growers, we need to make an effort by being more organized to benefit from the opportunities that exist in this traceable direct trade. And the only way that we can do it is by having well-written documents, plans that will enable us to reach there.
Charles, how do you want to summarize our interface today?
I want to share with the viewers 5 things that will confirm that you have obeyed your business plan. Number 1, the way you have organized your flow of staffing, the organogram. If you have reorganized this to appreciate now you have a bigger operation called technology, a factory in Luero and what have you, and now you have got that in the organogram, because it is a big investment, it means you are beginning to appreciate your business plan. The organogram, I'll check on it to see to what extent it appreciates the elements in the business plan. Number 2, I want to see that your annual work plans, are they coming from the business plan, which is a 5-year document? The thing is 5 years, but every 12 months you're having something you're doing. Where are you picking those activities from? If they are just coming because you woke up today, you quarreled and you say, okay, tomorrow we shall start doing that, you are not obeying the business plan. Number 3, resource allocation must reflect exactly that. You have resources, they are limited, you go and look at the business plan to guide you on how to do resource allocation. Number 4, when you are doing all that, do M&E, monitor then to see that the goals you set out are being realized. Then, as you do the monitoring, do the final thing, rewarding and penalizing. Reward those who meet the targets. Penalize and train those who cannot meet the targets. If you start doing this, the document has left the paper. Now it's driving you. And you need to do that.
I hear you. Noah, what would you like to end with this discussion?
I would like to inform the viewers who are interested in doing anything that it is okay and it is fine for you to wake up every day to go and make money. That's what drives everyone. Because we are in a capitalist economy, so anyone going out there is to make money, is going out there to make money. But don't forget the process of how money is made. But the most critical guiding document, there are so many documents you need, is a plan which is documented. So going out there to make money is fine and is okay, which is what most entrepreneurs, always have as the first thing on their mind. But don't forget the process, because the process is what is going to guarantee that you'll indeed make money as you aspire to make it. And that process is going to be defined or supported by a clear and daily used business plan. That's what I can say.
Thanks. Thank you, Noah. Tony,
Yes.
what would you like to tell the coffee farmers out there?
Yes, I want to tell the coffee farmers that the opportunities are there. We're at the right place, the right time. Let's be organized. Let's aggregate through cooperatives. Let the cooperatives be run professionally. We need to have well-written documents and plans, and through these and sharing the vision in our plan, we shall be able to reach our goals.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Noah and Charles. I'd like to end with the comments from one of our ardent viewers. I must underline the word ardent. It goes by the initials MYN, but we will implore them to actually tell us the full names. He's saying, I'm impressed by this program today, how relevant it is to us. We need these guests again next week. We'll discuss, we'll talk about that. Viewers, that brings us to the end of this week's interface. We now know why it's important to have these business plans. It's not just a document you do for the bank or for a development partner like ABI. It's actually, it's like your GPS as a business. It's what guides you. It's what guides the different operations, the different processes, and it's what really is supposed to deliver you to the promised land in business, as they put it, some of us. So I've been your host, Charles Boji. Until next time, I'd like to wish you a very good evening. Good evening and God bless.